So, this is the kind of video that I'm pretty sure will garner some pretty interesting discussion in the comments section below. Because today, what I wanted to do was head over and talk about a top prospect from the 2023 NHL Entry Draft, a top 5 pick, and the name who has made himself known as one of the bigger question marks in the Montreal Canadiens organization. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about David Reinbacher, and we are asking the question, how long does it usually take for an elite defenseman to develop? Especially one taken around this area of the draft. Now, David Reinbacher is not the flashiest topic to talk about at this time in the Canadiens' timeline. It's the preseason right now, so we're seeing a lot of Canadiens guys show off well, a lot of prospects display their talent and potentially fight for spots to making the team. Reinbacher, unfortunately, though, has not really been in that boat. I don't think the play that he has had so far throughout the prospects games and the preseason games have warranted any sort of confidence that he should be an 82-game NHL player at this point. Reinbacher is 20 years old, 6'2", 194, a right-handed defenseman, the first defenseman taken in the 2023 NHL Entry Draft, and a player that a lot of people were wondering, hey, why did Montreal take him instead of Matvei Michkov? And that will be a conversation that we keep on having until these guys retire. But the David Reinbacher discourse is ramping up in a very mixed way. And now we have ourselves an article from lapresse.ca that I wanted to dive into here. The question is, do great defenders take so long to develop? This piece, which was written and posted by Matthias Brunet yesterday, is going to be linked in the description below. But the reason I like it is because it dives into a whole bunch of comparisons and tries to pit David Reinbacher amongst the group of guys that also happen to be top defenseman prospects taken in the NHL Entry Draft. So let's dive into it here. Canadian fans would no doubt have liked to see a more convincing performance from young D-man David Reinbacher on Tuesday against Philadelphia. Reinbacher looked good at times, including his decision-making with the puck and his efficiency in front of the net, but he also seemed hesitant, as if his confidence was still fragile after a lackluster rookie tournament. The 6'3", 207-pound right-handed defenseman will have the opportunity to develop at his own pace in the AHL, thanks to the acquisition of Noah Dobson. But he remains a 5th overall pick in 2023, and he will turn 21 in a month. The wisest among us advocate patience in his case. Reinbacher lost almost a full season due to a knee injury suffered in a preseason game a year ago, and defensemen, we are reminded, take longer to reach maturity. What's the reality? Do the best defensemen in the NHL really come into their own at ages 21, 22, or 23? Or even later? Consider 12 elite NHL defensemen drafted like Reinbacher in the top 10. Exclude rare bugs like Makar and Quinn Hughes, small-framed, exceptionally talented defensemen who broke through early. First, you have Zach Werenski, who ended up making the NHL at 19. He had 47 points in his first season. Miro Heiskanen also made the NHL at 19. He had 2 30-point seasons in Dallas before turning 20 years old. 23:07 usage time as well. Mikhail Sergachev made the NHL at 19, with 40 points in his first season in Tampa, 22 minutes time on ice. Just imagine what being tossed out there with Nikita Kucherov and Stamkos will do for your point production. Then you had Moritz Seider, 6th overall in 2019, made it to the NHL at 20, 50 points in his first season, Calder Trophy finalist for Most Outstanding Rookie, and he ended up winning, I'm pretty sure. Right? 23:02 minutes of playing time as well. The next name is Seth Jones, who reached the dawn of the NHL on his 19th birthday, getting 25 and 27 points in his first 2 years, a usage time of 23:07. You have Jake Sanderson, who made the NHL at age 20, 32 points in his first season with the Ottawa Senators and a lot of playing time. Rasmus Dahlin debuted in the NHL at 18 with 44 points in his first year, 21:09 playing time. Then we're taking a blast to the past to Drew Doughty, second overall guy who made his NHL debut at the dawn of his 19th birthday. 27 points in his first season, 2350 minutes of playing time. Man, Drew Doughty was eating minutes like crazy back then. Then you have Aaron Ekblad, first overall in 2014, NHL player at 18 years old, 44 points in his first year, also won Rookie of the Year, I'm pretty sure. Then you have Evan Bouchard. He flirted with the NHL at 18 with 7 games, but settled in at 21 years old during the pandemic year. Victor Hedman made the NHL at 18, a few months shy of turning 19, producing 20 points in his first year. Alex Pietrangelo had NHL experience at 18, but then settled in at 20 years old with 43 points in his first season, 22 minutes of playing time. Not to mention Jonas Brodin, who reached the NHL at 19 years old, playing 23-13. Only one of these top names out of all the guys listed, excluding Makar and Hughes, ended up making the NHL at around 21, but Bouchard still did play sporadically. The point is, David Reinbacher, his status as a top-drafted defenseman, is being kinda challenged here when you compare it to other players who were drafted in similar roles. There is a comparison towards the bottom here of guys that are elite defensemen, but taken between 12th and 25th. Dobson, Carlson, Morrison, McAvoy, Shabbat, Sanheim. And then, if you scroll even further down, you're going to find even more weird comparisons. If we're being magnanimous, David Reinbacher is obviously not ahead of the elite defenseman drafted in the top 10. He has the excuse of a knee injury, which won't last much longer, however. Adam Larsson isn't the most flamboyant or popular defenseman, but he was drafted 4th overall by New Jersey in 2011. He's also a right-hander, similar in size to Reinbacher. He bounced between the AHL and the NHL until he was 23. Adam Larsson had modest offensive seasons before being traded to Edmonton for Taylor Hall on the eve of his 24th birthday. Bearing a serious injury, Adam Larsson will reach 1,000 games next spring. In Seattle for the past few years, he has played between 22 and 23 minutes, excelled defensively, and racked up between 25 to 35 points per season, playing in a top 3 role. Perhaps this is David Reinbacher's destiny. It would be nothing dishonorable, despite appearances. And so, this article doesn't really conclude anything. It just says out of all the guys that have been taken in the top of the draft as defensemen, only really Adam Larsson has a projectable path of being similar here. Now, if you want to be technical with it, there is the excuse that says, yeah, Evan Bouchard is also a guy who settled in at the NHL at 21 years old. Reinbacher, he ain't there yet. He's turning 21 in a month, and he's not going to be an NHL player this upcoming season. So I think at this point, we might have to start looking at guys like Adam Larsson, for example, that can be described as career comparables. And I'm even going to take it a step further. There's another top prospect that I think does fit the bill as a potential similar profile, and that's Erik Goodbranson. He was taken 3rd overall in 2010, and inevitably made the Florida Panthers full-time in 2011-2012, so he was 19 years old. And of course, you can see that Erik Goodbranson absolutely is not in the same offensive production category as many of the other names we've talked about. But at some point, if you're going to start thinking about top drafted defensemen who took a little bit of time to make the league and to start producing, I think for David Reinbacher, it's a little bit difficult to start comparing him to guys like Zach Werenski or Heiskanen or Sergachev. We might have to wait a little bit and see if Reinbacher can fully get back up to speed and overcome the setback of that knee injury. With all this in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about David Reinbacher, watching him in the preseason, and what are your thoughts on how he compares to all of these other top defensemen who were taken in the NHL draft? If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you did not, then please click the dislike button. They both are very appreciated. Comments also help out with the algorithm, so let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Article's going to be linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.